Then Emo forced past. Fittipaldi hung on and took the win. It was also a win for the Chevy V Indy engine in its debut. And Penske cars running 1 and 2. Last season saw its share of ups and downs. Mario Andretti hit hard at Indy. Paul Tracy scored his first pole, then crashed at Road America. Even Mr. Dependable, Bobby Rahal, found the fence. But it was a year that could not stop Bobby and his new partner, Carl Hogan, as he took the PPG Cup and the IndyCar Championship. The third for Bobby, the first for his new team. There were plenty of surprises last year, too. Rick Mears walked away. From his first days behind a wheel, Rick was destined for greatness. Indy was his personal kingdom. But the joy turned in 1984 when Rick shattered his feet in an accident at San Air in Canada. The recovery was long and painful, but the rocket roared back to score a total of 4 Indy wins. Then last year, the fate struck again. This accident at Indy practice set Rick thinking. By the end of the year, he decided his driving was done, and the great champion announced it was over. He will stay with the team as a director. Michael Andretti has the reputation of a charger. His cars are either in front or failing. For Michael, there is no middle ground. Last year, he won the final race of the season, but lost the IndyCar Championship by 4 points. Now he is following his father's path to Europe in Formula One. At the same time, the reigning Formula One champion is now driving an IndyCar for Newman Haas Racing. Already, Nigel Mansell has unofficially shattered track records. But here he faces new challenges and new faces. The waiting is over. The IndyCar season is about to begin. Today, it's round number 1 of the PPG IndyCar World Series, the Australian IndyCar Grand Prix from Surfers Paradise. And Surfers is located on the east coast of Australia, right on the edge of the Pacific Ocean. And here at Surfers, it is Mansell mania, as all over town, not only pictures of the IndyCars, but of the reigning Formula One champion driving in his first IndyCar race. Let's go down to Mansell's pit area and Gary Gerald.
Paul, without question, the interest that this man has triggered in his arrival now in IndyCar racing borders on the phenomenal. Never before in IndyCar history have so many press members been accredited for this race, with the exception, of course, of the Indy 500. And Nigel has responded brilliantly. He's been fast in practice. He set a track record. He starts from the pole. The question now, Nigel, as you take this step to becoming a full-fledged IndyCar driver, what concerns, what apprehensions?
I think the major concern at the moment is whether it's going to rain or not. And I just hope the car works as good as it did in the last 10 minutes of the warm-up this morning. But really now, just concentrating on the job in hand is the most important thing.
Have a good, safe day. Keep in mind, he is the first man in 37 years in IndyCar history that in his first start wins the pole position. Let's go back in the pack now and check in with our colleague, Jack Arute.
Well, Gary, we're back here in 13th starting position with the PPG IndyCar champion from last year, Bobby Rahal. As you can see, what a marked contrast from the pit area or the starting area of Nigel Mansell. It's very lonely back here. Now, one of the things that's happened is Bobby Rahal and his team have elected to go with a controversial chassis. They took over the development of the Dan Halliday chassis that was originally known as a True Sports chassis. It's now called the Rahal Hogan chassis. And this is a developmental chassis made in America, but they have not qualified well with it. In fact, they're also running with a Chevrolet C engine, one of the new Chevy engines. But for Bobby Rahal, it's pretty far back in the pack. What's going to have to happen for you to be in the hunt?
Past 12 other guys. We haven't quite gotten the handle on the car today, but it's a long race, and fuel economy is going to be key. We're making it on that basis, so we're going to give it our best shot, see what happens.
One of the things that happened, Paul, is they only had 3 testing days in Sebring, Florida with this chassis and the Chevrolet C engine before coming to Australia. The word from Rahal and Hogan, though, is that the new chassis will debut sometime in July.
Those are just two of the great stories we have for you this year in the IndyCars. Hello and welcome. I'm Paul Page, and what a difference a week makes. Last week it was Atlanta, Georgia in blizzard conditions. Today it's beautiful weather, near 90 degrees at the end of summer in Surfers Paradise, Australia. This is the first IndyCar race of the season, and here at ABC Sports we'll follow right up through and beyond the Indianapolis 500. We have 9 IndyCar events on our schedule for this year. But what of this, the first event of the season? There are 800 accredited journalists here. Now, many of them are watching Nigel Mansell, but 800 is a larger figure than they have ever had at an IndyCar event, and second only to the Indianapolis 500, the world's largest single-day spectator sporting event. And there are a good many other stories that they will be covering as well. For example, Bobby Unser, Emerson Fittipaldi starts on the front row alongside of Mansell. He's the defending champion here.
He's Penske's lead driver. He's 47 years old, Paul, and he's probably in better physical shape and mental shape than any driver in the field. He can win as easy today as he did when he was in his 20s. He's definitely going to give him 110%.
Then in the second row, the young Chargers, starting with Robbie Gordon.
Robbie Gordon, here's a guy that was picked by Ford Motor Company, came just like Rick Mears right out of the dirt racing in the deserts, right into Indianapolis cars, and he's a guy that was picked by Michael Cranafus from Ford Motor Company to be their golden-haired angel, and the kid is flying.
Alongside is Paul.
Because Rick retired to put him into the good number 2 slot, Penske's team. He's really good, probably the quickest I've seen come along in a long time. He wrecked a lot last year. He's got to quit wrecking cars, but I think he will. Penske told him, pass one car at a time, not all in one turn. If he does that, he's going to be the hero this year.
Well, the engines have been started and the field is already rolling, looking for a pace lap. Let's take a look at the starting grid. On the pole with a new track record is Nigel Mansell. He'll be taking the green on a rolling start today for the first time since his go-karting days 20 years ago. Alongside is Emerson Fittipaldi, the defending champion here. He won 4 times last year, all on road courses. In row 2, it's Paul Tracy, taking over as a Penske regular. And Robbie Gordon in a full season drive for owner A.J. Foyt, the only rookie to lead a lap last year. In row number 3 is Arie Luyendyk, who is trained as a road racer, but in the Indy cars, he's only won on ovals, including the Indy 500. Row 3, Mario Andretti outside. He is starting his 30th year in racing. He has 22 road course wins. In the 4th row, it's Scott Goodyear, last year's Michigan 500 winner, now with Ford Cosworth Power. And Raul Boisel, who's had his best IndyCar season last year. In row number 5, Jimmy Vasser, a sophomore driver, and veteran Scott Brayton alongside. The 6th row, Mark Smith, a very impressive IndyCar rookie graduate from the Indy Lights. And Teo Fabi, back after only 1 start in the past 2 years. In the 7th row, Bobby Rahal, the defending IndyCar champion. His worst start in over 2 years, and Al Unser Jr. In the 8th row, Roberto Guerrero and Eddie Cheever. Row 9, Robbie Buell, the Indy Lights champ, and Stefan Johansson. In row 10, Andre Kesa and Gary Bravo. The 11th row, Danny Sullivan and Ross Bentley. The 12th row, Andre Montremini and Hiro Matsushita. And in the 13th row, Buddy Lazier and rookie Marco Greco. And the race analysis, 65 laps, just over 181 miles. Fuel window coming about lap number 22. And the defending champion here, of course, is Emerson Fittipaldi. Take a look at the onboard cameras. Of course, the pole sitter, Nigel Mansell. You look over his shoulder right now as the field maneuvers around behind the pace cars here. We have 4 onboard cameras for you, with crystal clear pictures under these partly cloudy skies, though for the moment the sun shines down. Looking backwards from Nigel Mansell's car to Emerson Fittipaldi as he lines up. Now on board with Bobby Rahal, the defending IndyCar champion, well back in the field. Plenty of work to do for him today. 12 cars in front of him. Looking backwards from Rahal's car. And then there is Al Unser Jr. He was the pole sitter here last year. As they begin to pick the pace up, you can see how pretty it is here in Surfers Paradise. Danny Sullivan set to go. And we have the heart chart on Danny Sullivan. Right now, he's not ticking along quite as fast as we expected, just over 100 beats per minute. Hopefully, we'll get to see how it goes throughout the day for Danny Sullivan. So the field is nicely started, ready to go, still not aligned into their rows of 2. Let's take a look now at what this course here at Surfers Paradise offers, Bobby Unser.
Yes, well, that's the service track is a 2.8-mile track around two very long straightaways, a little bit over a mile each. The front straightaway, which is where the start-finish line is, Paul, is about a mile long. Gets up to about 185 to 190 miles an hour with two chicanes put into it to slow the cars down because they would have run well over 200 miles an hour without it. At the end, two short straightaways, the back straightaway, real long again with two chicanes in it, a little bit of turns at the north end, and that's it for the whole turn.
All right, the field now still single file as they should be set for green as they come away from the beach and off of the Esplanade. And that will turn them westbound for just a few moments. And then they will come back southbound on the Gold Coast Highway. A temporary circuit here. And those long straightaways coming off of very slow corners mean that they're burning fuel at an incredible rate. And fuel has been a question with all of the teams here thus far this weekend. Very shortly, they should come into their more traditional alignment. It's difficult to do on a temporary circuit like this. And, Bobby, so much to look forward to as now the front row begins to assemble.
Yes, it certainly is. This turn where they're going through here is 290 degrees, one to the left, one to the right. This is up on the north end that I didn't quite cover too well. Look how they're all lined up really good, Paul.
All right, the field comes into alignment now. The first race of the IndyCar season is about to begin as Nigel Mansell leads the field off the corners. Jimmy Swinton, the flagman, his first time in that position. As he takes a look at the front row, it's nicely aligned. The green flag comes out. Emerson Fittipaldi moves to the front. Paul Tracy moves outside of Nigel Mansell, and the Penske cars pick up the lead. Very tight traffic, but everyone's safely through there. Fittipaldi, then Tracy, then Mansell. Robbie Gordon sitting back in fourth place. Now Fittipaldi beginning to pull a bit on Paul Tracy as Robbie Gordon begins to attack at the back of Mansell's car. Robbie Gordon still trying on Mansell as he comes down inside, and Robbie Gordon forces his way past Mansell. Mansell has dropped from the pole back 3 positions. That's Mario Andretti that's closing up on his teammate now. So as they turn onto the Esplanade, running alongside the coast here, now it is Mario Andretti that begins to challenge his own teammate.
Yeah, I think what happened at the start is Mansell has never done an IndyCar race before. He's not used to the driver's habit.